Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
I'll be your tour guide for the next 35 minutes, 2.5 miles on the San Antonio River. Let's give a great big hand for my first mate, Nathan, who's sitting right here.
Come on, Nathan. Captain Nathan. Oh, shut up, man.
Right in the wheelchair
A few safety rules for everybody to follow.
Wheelchair guy, he's holding down.
Folks, please remain seated at all times. Keep hands and arms inside the blue railing. The use of tobacco products is prohibited. And if we find ourselves in the water, we have enough life jackets for everybody in the front blue compartments. You take your life jacket in one hand, your son or daughter in the other hand, and you simply walk out of the river. It's about 3 or 4 feet deep. This is the River Center Hall area. You've seen the congestion that it can occur here, so I do have to hug the right side of the bank. We're going to be passing by close to some of the plants. And if you have a desire to touch those plants, feel free to do so. That was the feast day of San Antonio, and they named the river in his honor. If you have your cameras ready, look to the right-hand side. We will be passing by the statue of San Antonio. That statue is a gift from Portugal to the city of San Antonio for the 1968 Hemisphere World's Fair. The child he is holding in his hand, he is the patron saint of children. And folks, being a former teacher, I like to give quizzes at the end of the ride, so you may want to pay attention to what's going on. And if you wish to take notes, feel free to do so.
Man, I just got out of school and I got to do tests again.
We may have to exempt the small ones. Look to the right of the boat, you'll see a steeple. That's St. Joseph's Catholic Church. It was built in 1868 by the German community because they wanted to worship in their own language. And even today, they say the Mass in German on the 4th Sunday of every month. Joski's department store wanted to build on that site. And they couldn't move the church, so they decided to build around it. And some of the locals still refer to St. Joseph's as St. Joski's. To the right is the Chamber of Commerce. If you're thinking or planning on moving to San Antonio, they can make that transition a lot easier for you. cameras ready, folks? I want to point out an interesting sight. If you look behind the boat, right over here in this direction, you'll see a red sculpture come into view. That red sculpture is called the Flame of Friendship, and it was given to the city by Mexico. Book of World Records. Well, this hotel made that book because of its construction. If you look up at it, they used modular construction in building it. And what they did is they built each room, each unit separately off-site, about 8 miles from here by the H.B. Zachary Company. And they totally furnished each unit. Beds, desks, chairs, fans, carpeting, everything. And then he trucked it up here, a crane lifted up each unit and placed them in position. It took 202 days for them to build this entire building, including that part. And that set a Guinness Book of World Records. The reason for the rush, they wanted to open for the 1968 Hemisphere World's Fair because they were sold out. And he completed the building 2 days prior to the opening. Straight ahead and around the corner to the right is La Villita, or little village. It's an artisan community full of arts and craft shops. They're up on street level. In the 1700s, this was the site of Spanish colonial soldiers' housing. Today, you find the Little Wine Steakhouse and the Fig Tree Restaurant. We're coming to the Arneson River Theater. Seating for 800 to the left, the stage to the right. If you saw the movie Miss Congeniality with Sandra Bullock and William Shatner, they had a scene right up on this stage, the Bathing Beauty Contest. And if you look up at the stage, there are 5 bells here. They represent the 5 missions of San Antonio. The center one has an inscription to Robert H. Hugman, the concept architect of the San Antonio Riverwalk. And straight ahead, this bridge, it's called Rosita's Bridge in honor of Rosita Fernandez. She was an original cast member of Fiesta Noche del Rio that performs on this stage. She played for 26 years and never missed one performance. A few facts about the San Antonio River. This river actually starts 4 miles north of here, comes out from a spring at the campus of Incarnate Word College. Then it flows 150 miles southeast until it empties into the Gulf of Mexico. The source of the water for the spring for this river is an underground lake called the Edwards Aquifer. Folks, that lake provides the whole city of San Antonio also with its drinking water. That lake is over 180 miles long, 5 to 30 miles wide, and over 640 feet deep. I was telling you about the Spanish missionaries. They came through here and they set a mass on June 13th. Well, there's a sculpture right there in an island on the front of the boat we're coming up on. That sculpture was placed there in 1991 to commemorate the site of the mass that was set here. And it's called Father Massenet's Table. The island that it sits on is called Marriage Island because of the number of weddings that takes place there yearly. To the right is a mural on the wall for Old Mill Crossing. Before this bridge was here, in the 1850s, farmers used to drive their wagons right across the river at this point because it was shallow, and they would take their grain and corn to the mill to be ground into flour. The latest addition of hotels to the Riverwalk is to my right. It's the Westin Hotel, built in 1999. And straight ahead, that red building with the green roof, that is the Bexar County Courthouse. Its cornerstone was laid in 1892. It is the oldest continuously operated courthouse in Texas. I was in that building 3 times, once for a marriage and twice for jury duty. Woo. To my left is the Tower Life Building. This building is over 400 feet high. It was built in 1929. They used Gothic architecture. You can see gargoyles jutting out from the top. And when it rains, water shoots out of their mouth. And this is the only octagonal shaped high-rise in the United States. To my right is the Homewood Suites Hilton Hotel, but from 1919 to 1963, this was a pharmaceutical company called the San Antonio Drug Company. Was I surprised when I went up on street level and I looked at that hotel? It still has etched in stone San Antonio Drug Company on that building. And to my right, this building was the Central Library for San Antonio from 1968 to 1998. Today it's called the International Building and it houses businesses from NAFTA. If you look behind the boat at the Tower Life building, some people say from this angle that it looks like a great big ship sailing on the streets of San Antonio. And to give it a little bit more realism, I'm going to provide some sound effects. And we're going to exit through floodgate number 4. It actually comes out of the water like a drawbridge, and the green light simply tells me that gate is all the way down. And to the right, we're going to turn to the right. This is a man-made channel to the right. It's called the bypass channel. It was built between 1926 and 1929. To the stern of the boat, that is the natural flow of the river. And about 300 yards down, there's another floodgate, number 5 down there. The reason for these flood measures was in 1921, there was a horrific flood here. If you look up at this building to my left, look at the top of the second story windows. That's how high the floodwaters got here in 1921. So in 1924, the city decided by digging this channel and by straightening out the river, it would go a long way in averting future disasters. But they were going to take the dirt from this channel and they were going to fill in the riverbend portion. Fortunately, that plan was defeated by the San Antonio Conservation Society, founded by Emily Edwards and Renee Maverick Green. Along came Robert Hugman in 1929. He said, I have plans for a water park and a business district. And the city adopted those plans in 1929. But construction was delayed because of the Great Depression until 1939. Work continued for 3